Let's move on to the new Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who on Monday highlighted the need for a reform of the WTO's dispute settlement system, or DSS, that will get every member state on board. Dispute is inherent in trade, and when that happens, one of the professionals to call in is the arbitrators. And that's why we are bringing into the conversation tonight Dorothy Ufot. She's Nigeria's renowned chartered arbitrator, the managing partner at Dorothy Ufot & Co., and the year 2020 African Arbitrator of the Year. Good evening, madam, and we appreciate being with us on the show tonight.
Good evening, Bosan. Thank you, as usual, for having me.
Thank you so much. She said, congratulations to you, women, and all the professional women around the world. Give me your first word on the appointment of Dr. Okonjo-Iweala as the new head of the WTO, and what does it really mean for the global community of women professionals?
Bosan, I think that my first shot to Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala would be a huge congratulations. She's done the women folk very proud. It wasn't an easy win. I watched it in every stage. When there was a deadlock, when the Trump administration did not support because of the consensus procedure of the WTO, which mandates every member state to agree to any decision that the WTO will make. She remained calm. And as God would have it, the Biden-Harris administration came on board and cleared the logjam. And here we have with us today a Nigerian, Dr. Mrs. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the first African, the first woman, a Nigerian that we are all proud of, doing us proud. She has shattered one of the biggest glass ceilings. This before now would have been an impossibility. So for us women professionals, she's telling us that we can do it. She's a huge role model to all of us, and I believe that every woman professional, not just Nigerian, not just African, women professionals all around the globe must be today very proud of Dr. Mrs. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. She's a huge inspiration. Personally, I've never been so inspired. I've been greatly inspired. She's telling me that nothing, and I mean nothing, is impossible. And today, we're listening to all the conversations about gender diversity, gender equality. And so this is making a very strong statement that women are asking for a seat at the table, and we are asking for that seat as of right. And she's a huge role model to all of us. We say very big congratulations. We are aware, as she has admitted in her first press briefing, that it's not going to be a tea party. So as much as we congratulate her, she needs our prayers. The assignment she has taken on is a huge one. I have no doubt that she has the qualifications. With her track record, she can deliver, and she has promised to deliver. And her delivery on the project will be her biggest thank you to all of us and all the Nigerians, everybody in the world that supported her. I have absolutely no doubt that she can make it happen, and she will definitely make it happen with all our support. So I say once again, a very big congratulations to Dr. Mrs. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala.
Okay, so Madam Ufot, this is International Women's Day and all of that. This is raising the game, isn't it?
Absolutely raising the game. When you look at what has happened, coming immediately after Kamala Harris, and on the eve, so to speak, of the International Women's Day, I think this year's Women's Day is going to be celebrated differently. Women have taken us higher. I'm personally speaking on several fora on the International Women's Day. So this will be a key topic of discussion.
I hope women get invited, by the way.
Yes. Absolutely, because I'm sure...
Don't leave us out in this party.
No, I'm sure that men I mean, Joe Biden came on board and supported Dr. Ngozi. So men are actually are definitely invited.
So we're invited. Thank you very much. I'll take that invitation. Invite, I'll take it. Thank you very much. But how critical is dispute resolution or dispute settlement system in the workings of the WTO and the global trade in general? Let's get down to hard business.
Yes. Bosun, the World Trade Organization is about trading nations coming together to do business. Trade is investment and business. Wherever there is investment, wherever there is business, wherever there is trade, there must be dispute. It's inevitable. And the WTO dispute settlement system is presently in disarray. In her first briefing, she referred to the dispute settlement system as the jewel in the crown of the WTO. So there is a lot of work to be done. She needs to carry out, and she has also acknowledged that fact, that there will be wide-ranging and deep, reforms with regard to the dispute settlement system of the WTO. Without an effective and efficient dispute settlement mechanism and processes, then there cannot be success. So she has identified the reformation in the dispute settlement system of the WTO as one of her first priorities. She refers to it as one of the low-hanging fruits. That is one of the first things she's going to do. And even the dispute settlement body of the WTO recognizes arbitration as a preferred mechanism for the settlement of business in Article 25. And how does this work? Right now, as I've said, there are two dispute settlement stages in the WTO system. That is the appointment of a panel to resolve the dispute of member states. After that, if any of the parties is unhappy, then you go to the appellate body. Right now, there is no appellate body in place because America, under President Trump, has been standing in the way. So she needs to fix that very, very quickly. Without a functioning and effective dispute system, the WTO agreement signed by member parties will just be a mere piece of paper, a worthless piece of paper. So the dispute settlement system of the WTO is critical to the functioning of WTO. And our sister, Dr. Mrs. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, is coming at a very difficult time. Right now, the appellate body is not in place. So the question is, when a contracting party is unhappy or is dissatisfied with the ruling of the panel set up by the dispute settlement body, what happens? The dispute settlement understanding prescribes an appeal to the appellate body. Presently, there's none in place.
So my next question to you, Dorothy Ufot, madam, is that what the roles of you professional arbitrators will be moving forward in ensuring that this works. What tasks lie ahead of you? So you are the current 2020 African Arbitrator of the Year. I want you to chew that over. We'll take a break. We'll be back with you, madam, in 2 minutes. We'll put that into context when we come back. All right, welcome back to the program. Nigeria is currently putting together a new national trade policy, according to the Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Otumba Niyi Adebayo, during an interview with Arise News on Monday. But let's chat a bit more on this and the issue of arbitration or dispute resolution which we started a short while ago with Dorothy Ufot, a UK chartered arbitrator and managing partner at Dorothy Ufot and Co., based in Lagos. She's live here in our studios. Thank you, Madam, for being with us. My last question, just before the break, of how you arbitrators, professional arbitrators, should prepare for the new WTO under Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala.
Well, Bosun, I have to remind all of us that Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is not just a Director General for Nigeria, is a Director General for the WTO, which comprises about 164 countries. So, and I just told you before we went on break that the appellate body is not functioning right now. And so what happens in the interim? The interim is that disputes will be resolved by arbitration. As even Dr. Ngozi said in her press briefing. How do we prepare for this? I think that we have to understand the workings of the WTO, how arbitrators are to be appointed. Now there's a huge clamor. The conversation is that you appoint African arbitrators. There's a lot of conversation going on right now, a lot of jurisprudence and a lot of clamor that African arbitrators should be appointed for African disputes. When you look at all that is happening, she referred to the dispute settlement as the jewel in the crown of the WTO. So African arbitrators, if they want to participate, they must acquire knowledge, they must understand the WTO system, they must understand dispute resolution, bearing in mind that any ruling you give will have great impact on the countries that have appeared before you, including their citizenry. So we just have to be prepared. And I'm proud to say that Africa boasts well-qualified arbitrators today. So gone are the days when we used to hear that there's the death of qualified arbitrators in Africa. All over Africa today, there are qualified arbitrators, and so we would just need to understand how the dispute settlement process or mechanism for the WTO works, because it's a rules-based system. And when one of the parties violates the rules, you require an effective dispute resolution mechanism. And how do you determine the efficacy of the dispute resolution mechanism that has been adopted? It will lie in the compliance, how the contracting parties willingly comply with the results of arbitration and abiding by the decisions or rulings or awards of the arbitrators. So we need to be prepared. And there's competition everywhere. We are not driving the foreign arbitrators away. We are saying that we are equally qualified. So African countries must learn to appoint African arbitrators to resolve their disputes. They are qualified arbitrators. So we just have to be prepared. A new horizon is where we are now, and there are more opportunities. Everywhere people are talking about appointing African arbitrators for African disputes.
Yes.
And in fact, these days, you are even talking about appointing African arbitrators for European disputes.
I agree with you. We have a new horizon before us. So the question is for Nigeria: how should Nigeria position its trade policies and its arbitration team of professionals for the new WTO, even with the AFCFTA?
Yes, you know, the dispute settlement mechanism of the AFTA is very similar to that of the WTO. And what are we saying? It's exactly the same policies. Nigeria should position its trade policies in a way that it allows free trade without compromising intellectual property rights. So we should should open up the trade, let there be free trade, goods and services, and let the resolution of the disputes that will arise be timely. And our government policies, our NIPC Act, everything we need to do must be geared towards an effective resolution of disputes that may arise, different types of disputes, trade disputes, to avoid trade wars. We prepare ourselves for effective resolution of these disputes, whether under AFTA or under the WTO. It's the same process.
Okay, so in terms of what is your outlook on the first 4 years of Okonjo-Iweala at the WTO?
My outlook for Dr. Ngozi is that there are burning issues, and one of the first, I think it even comes first before dispute settlement, is the pandemic. She needs to work hand in hand with WHO to see how the vaccines can be produced for developing countries. I was in a board meeting this afternoon, and one of my colleagues that lives in Dubai announced to us that he's taking the vaccine. And I said to him, can I come to Dubai and take the vaccine? And he says, no, you have to be resident in Dubai. So we have to look at how to quickly manufacture vaccines for developing countries without breaching intellectual property rights of the manufacturers. We need it. In a world that has been so affected by the pandemic, the developed countries are right now administering different vaccines for their citizenry. To the best of my knowledge, taking Nigeria as an example, nothing is happening. It's not going to work, because those who are not taking vaccines in Nigeria are still traveling to the UK, where they are taking the vaccines. So that is one of the burning issues which Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala acknowledges herself that she has to address the pandemic. And she has the capacity. She's on the board of Gavi. And so the first 4 years for this phenomenal woman, considering her enviable track record, I believe very strongly that she's capable to deliver upon her promises. So she will look at the vaccine, the pandemic issue, and as she herself said, there may be a third strain. Nigeria is currently going through a second strain. There may be a third strain. So the issue of
I want to hope that we don't have a third strain.
Yes, well, she mentioned that. We have to look at very urgently how to develop...
I get your point. I get your point. We just need to be prepared.
A vaccine for developing countries.
I agree with you. We just need to be prepared.
It is extremely urgent for we to do that, because all over the developed countries, in the UK, in the USA, people are getting vaccines now, and we are not even there. So she needs to work. She would have to work with the WHO to see.
Thank you so much.
To see what will be done for developing countries.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time this evening. Dorothy Ufot, Managing Partner at Dorothy Ufot & Co. and the African Arbitrator of the year 2020.
Thank you very much, Bosun.
It's good to have you on the show tonight.